Man, listen, this is not clickbait. This is the real deal. And I don't do clickbait anyway, so if you've been here, you already know. But once again, we are back with another Godzilla vs. one-shot, with Godzilla vs. Spider-Man, written by Joe Kelly. And there's so much that happens, we just gotta get into it. But first, if you're enjoying these videos, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell up top to get all notifications. Alright, so going into this, we pick up with Peter not long after the Secret Wars event from 1984, with him still trying to figure out the new suit, and of course with him being completely unaware that it's alive. And throughout this one-shot, there's going to be a number of X-Men, Avengers, and Hulk references that are tying these different Godzilla one-shots together, which is crazy. But starting this out, we pick up with Peter going up against Shocker, and since he's recently come back from Secret Wars, there's a few moments here where he thinks back to picking up the new suit, and how when he came back, he noticed a number of quality of life improvements in comparison to rocking his original red and blue suit. And this includes things like it being able to make its own webs, being more durable, not bunching up in the crotch, and also being able to transform into civilian clothing with just a thought. But also around this time, Peter and Felicia Hardy were teaming up a lot. Like they were basically in a full-blown relationship at this time. But even with this alternate story doing its own thing, there are a lot of references here that line up with the main Marvel universe. And we're also told here, much like in Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, when Felicia went to undergo the process to get superpowers so she would no longer be a liability to Spider-Man, this also gave her bad luck powers. And it wasn't until the procedure was done when she found out Wilson Fisk was behind it. So in this story, much like on Earth 616, when Peter came back from the Secret Wars event, back to the new and improved Felicia, Peter didn't pick up on a lot of these changes right away because of his focus on his new suit and the number of strange events leading to him discovering that it was a living symbiote. And aside from this, as we're just skimming through the events in Peter's life, we're also told about Peter working at the Bugle and competing with Eddie Brock at the Daily Globe, which is something that's going to be significant as this story continues. But in the here and now, while Peter's thinking about how things in life are going pretty good, as he's punching Shocker's face in, the two of these guys stop when they hear that signature roar coming from none other than Godzilla. And Peter knows who Godzilla is. And I mean as much as most people who live on a world where Godzilla pops out every now and then, but it's here where we're told Godzilla, force of nature, king of the monsters, protector of Earth, and enemy of humankind, with a question mark of course. But it goes on to say Godzilla is as enigmatic and mysterious as its origins. But one thing is for certain, whenever it makes a soldier into the Big Apple, utter devastation follows in its wake. And as soon as Spider-Man and Shocker see Godzilla, Peter's like, hey, you want to call a timeout? And Shocker's like, good idea. But then Peter webs Shocker to this building with a note attached that says Copper Top for pickup, signed Spider-Man, and he just takes off. And it's really like, wow, Peter, you're gonna web this man to a building in the middle of Godzilla's rampage. That's kind of messed up. And as Peter swings into action, he says here, the last thing I remember hearing of Godzilla was when it tangled with the Hulk. That's punching way above my weight class. There's no reasoning with it, no talking to it. I can only hope to help some civilians while we wait for the Avengers. Looks like it's searching for something. And we're also told here what Peter is saying is referencing Godzilla vs. Hulk issue 1, which we covered not too long ago. And in case you missed it, I got the link for you in the description. But if you've seen it, you already know. You already know what I'm thinking. But as it turns out, Godzilla doesn't get too angry in this issue. So who knows if that was something just for that one time. We just gotta wait and see. But in this moment, as Godzilla's making its way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and it's homebound to Peter's home. So it's like Godzilla too close to home, or Godzilla don't step on my home. You guys give me some titles in the comments. Like, what would you call this moment for Peter? But as soon as he sees Godzilla heading for his apartment, at first he's like, okay, great. The Parker luck even attracts kaiju. But then he notices that MJ's there. And really, she came by to surprise Peter. Because prior to this, she'd been gone for some time. Because MJ, she's basically had every job you can imagine in the Marvel Universe. Though this time specifically, it was for modeling. But nonetheless, when Peter sees her, he just tells her to jump, so he can catch her and get her out of there just in the nick of time. And when this happens, it flows seamlessly into MJ telling Peter that she had known for some time that he was Spider-Man. So it quickly turns into a case where Peter's like, you know? And MJ's like, I've known for years. I'm a model, not an idiot. And when Peter's able to swing her to safety, this leads to yet another canon event, which I mean isn't quite a canon event, though I wish it was, because it's here where MJ finds out about Peter and Felicia. Because as soon as he sets MJ down, Felicia comes in, and she's like, I saw that monster demolish your apartment and thought the worst. Are you injured, lover? And MJ's just like, lover? And it's a lot like what happened on Earth 616, minus Godzilla. So instead of us getting the whole thing where Felicia's getting ready to leave and the symbiote pulls her back, MJ and Felicia are here arguing over Peter while Godzilla's closing in. So Peter's just like, okay, let's take a step back and make proper introductions later when we're all not going to die. But MJ and Felicia are just like, no, we got time now. And for a second, Peter's thinking, I don't know what's scarier, getting caught between these two or facing the King of Monsters. But right after that, he's like, actually, it's a no-brainer. So he tells Felicia to get MJ to safety while he distracts the big guy. And the only plan Peter really has right now is to distract Godzilla and lure it over to the west side, with Peter saying that there's less over there to wreck, which kind of sounds like a diss to the west side. But Peter's pulling out all the stops here. He's singing and swinging, he's quipping and thwipping, and Godzilla definitely follows. But Peter's not exactly sure why. He doesn't know if it's the Parker luck or what, and we'll talk about why Godzilla's following him in a moment. But right here, when Godzilla closes in and lets out that iconic roar at a close distance, this basically hits the symbiote like a sonic attack, which causes the symbiote to leave Peter, much like the bell tower at Our Lady of Saints Church, though a lot more painful. But also when the symbiote leaves Peter, this is where he notices it screaming in pain, which is how he discovers that it's alive and that he brought this living alien creature to Earth from another world. And man, as soon as the symbiote leaves Peter, it makes its way for Godzilla. And even now, Peter's still trying to piece together this newly discovered information, because after hearing the suit scream and go for Godzilla, he's like, is it just reacting to my thoughts, since Peter was thinking that he could use some help, or is this something else entirely? But when the suit starts to cover Godzilla completely, this is where Peter's like, all this time, I thought the properties of the suit were due to it being of an alien fabric. It never occurred to me that it's a living being. I brought an alien to Earth, and now it's bonded to the strongest creature known to mankind. What have I done? And man, this symbiote Godzilla look is crazy. He's got the Spiderzilla logo on the chest. It's wild. Like, it's Venomzilla. They're not gonna know what hit him. Okay, let me stop. But this leads to a crazy sequence of events, with it saying here, what have you done, Peter Parker? One innocent mistake on a planet across the universe has consigned the Earth to destruction. A wordless connection ensues between the King of Monsters and a figure known only as the King in Black, a godlike being tasked by the Celestials to keep the universe in balance. The King in Black chose instead to watch the universe devour itself. In the maw of his symbiote horde, his existence demands pain, disruption, and death, co-opting powerful beings to enforce his will. So basically, when the symbiote bonded with Godzilla, this made a direct connection to KNULL where they could see each other. And even though no words were exchanged, it's implied that KNULL would like to lead Godzilla down a path that would lead to a very different version of King in Black. And you know, normally I would say, with Godzilla seeing KNULL, this has to mean like Godzilla's like, oh, nope, we need balance, you gotta go. But instead, this takes us down a path where there's an emphasis put on Godzilla's main focus being Earth. Because it goes on to say here, but the King of Monsters has demands of its own, instinctive, unspoken. An 80,000-ton surgeon, Godzilla awakens only to excise the Earth of the cancers that plague it. The arrival of the alien symbiote very much required its attention. So again, this is why Godzilla chased Peter and the symbiote, because the symbiote does not belong on Earth. But nonetheless, with symbiote Godzilla on the loose now, there's a moment here where it's just out of control, because as Godzilla's being shown what we briefly saw, it's like Godzilla's mind is drowning in symbiote consciousness, while on the outside the creature's just reacting to anger as the symbiote tries to take control of Godzilla's body. So it's total chaos right now. But the funny thing is, down on the ground, with MJ and Felicia trying to help people, we get this moment where MJ tells Felicia to grab those civilians the way she grabs her ill-fitting jumpsuits, while Felicia's telling the civilians to hurry and follow that completely average box dye redhead. And it's just like, man, they're going after each other in the middle of a symbiote Godzilla attack. Like, if this is the end of the road, I'ma have the last word. But in Peter's case, to protect his identity from everyone else, he's just taking some clothes that were hanging outside, which he did as soon as the symbiote bonded with Godzilla. But this leads to Peter having to go and figure something out, because as the minutes go by, symbiote Godzilla is only growing stronger. And at this point, after some time has passed, the military stepped in, but they're not doing well at all. And at the same time, we're told here that it could be a lot worse. Because again, Godzilla's fighting the symbiote from taking full control, so for that reason the destruction is crazy, but not as crazy as it could be. Because if symbiote Godzilla wanted everyone dead, he could just hit that atomic breath along with Spider-Man's ultimate from Marvel Rivals, and that would be it. But at this point, after some time has passed, Peter comes back with a fresh suit, as well as Shocker's gear. Because with Peter noticing how Godzilla's roar got the symbiote off of him, he just figured like, okay, I'm gonna modify Shocker's gear to match the frequency of Godzilla's roar, crank that up and use it on symbiote Godzilla in hopes of it removing the symbiote like earlier. So that's what Peter does here, and he makes a Steven Spielberg reference by saying ET go hell, you know, cause the symbiote's an alien and all that. And I mean, on one hand, it works to get the symbiote off of Godzilla, but at the same time, MJ and Felicia are watching from afar. Like, is that your man with the corny jokes? Like, on second thought, you can have him. And they're just going back and forth, which is pretty funny here. But after Peter delivers this hit, which again successfully removed the symbiote from Godzilla, when he does, it destroys the gear and it sends Peter free falling. But as Peter's going down, to his surprise, he is then caught by Godzilla. And it just has Peter like, man, I wish I had my camera, because this picture would have definitely made the front page of the Bugle. But this moment of relief is quickly interrupted, because now the symbiote, which is way more powerful than it was when Peter had it, since it's bonded with him and then Godzilla, Peter notices that the symbiote has risen well above his weight class. And when Peter sees this, he's just like, hey, take it from here, big guy. And he just swings right out of there. Because it's going to take a lot more than what Spider-Man can offer to stop what the symbiote has evolved to at this point. And fortunately, the King of Monsters is no stranger to evolution. And that's where Godzilla charges its atomic breath, grabs the symbiote by the tongue, and just blasts it into smithereens. And it's almost like as this portion draws to a close, I'm not really sure if that's a good thing. And we'll talk more about why in just a moment. And with this leading to ash falling all over Manhattan like snow, there's a moment here where Godzilla gives Spider-Man this look, and Peter already knows. So he's just like, you don't have to tell me twice. All future spider suits will be made in the USA by me. And why is it like that's an even crazier statement in 2025? But after all this, Peter, he is just exhausted and aching all over from everything that took place, whether it was hearing Godzilla's roar from a point-blank distance or even the amplified sonic attack. So he's trying to take it easy for a little while. But just days later, in the aftermath of symbiote Godzilla, we find Eddie Brock prying the camera out of the hands of a very unfortunate photographer so he can take the photos and publish them under his own name. But while Eddie's here, a strange black goo comes up from the rubble, because now the symbiote, though it's been weakened from the fight, it still has much of the properties absorbed from both Spider-Man and Godzilla. So with it finding Eddie, who at this point already hates Peter Parker, it bonds to him and they become God Venom. And now it's just like, man, I need more. But if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like so I know if you guys want me to cover more of these, and also let me know your thoughts in the comments. Because after this, it's going over to Godzilla vs. X-Men in May. So share your thoughts on this issue in the comments, and even some of your predictions for what's to come. Because I believe the X-Men issue is going to take us into the 90s, which is like the perfect time with all of these stories jumping from one decade to the next. So yeah, it's going to be crazy. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.